This is the coast of Cornwall, wild, beautiful, and home to many living things. Down there, the rock pools swarm with life, and hundreds of birds make their nests in the towering cliffs. On these rocks, a baby seal waits for her mother's return. She was born here on dry land a few days ago and can't fend for herself. Her baby fur is warm but not waterproof. She's never been in the sea. Her mother is leaving to catch fish. She must eat constantly to suckle her baby. For every pound of blubber the pup gains, her mother loses too. As she sets out to the open sea, the water is becoming choppy. A storm is brewing in the Atlantic. The high seas will mean deadly peril for the baby left behind. The seal is a pinniped. Pinnipeds were originally land animals. Around 40 million years ago, their ancestors became so dependent on fish for food that they spent more and more time beneath the sea's surface. Some became walruses and sea lions, with their characteristic front flippers and high intelligence. Others became seals. Their shapes adapted to speedy movement underwater as their legs developed into flippers. Their front flippers retained a set of powerful claws, strong enough to gouge breathing holes in Arctic ice or fight off a shark. And their jaws became immensely strong, ideal for devouring fish and breaking through a crab's hard shell. At the same time, their ears receded and adapted for directional hearing underwater, fine-tuned for hunting in the dark. Throughout all this evolution, the seal remained a land animal, an air-breathing mammal. But its nostrils became watertight, and it was able to spend up to 45 minutes underwater without breathing. Its eyes grew large and changed in structure. They became as keen as a cat's, but only underwater. In air, a seal can see little unless the light is intense. Seals also learn to sleep beneath the sea and rise periodically to breathe without even waking. When a grey seal gives birth, the pup is totally dependent on its mother, just like a human baby. The mother's milk, 12 times more fatty than cow's milk, is also 4 times richer in protein. Without it, the baby seal would starve. The baby lies helpless on the rocks, crying plaintively for its mother's return. She is a conscientious parent and comes ashore to feed it regularly. If all goes well, the pup will grow into a contented little barrel, warm and cosy in its cocoon of blubber and white natal fur. But in bad weather, disaster may strike. Heavy seas can wash the baby off the rocks. Even if the pup doesn't drown, it may be thrown up on a beach, miles from where the mother expects to find it. They may never see each other again. There have been numerous calls about this baby, and the sanctuary staff have been to see her several times. They were hoping that the mother would finally return, but days have gone by and she hasn't appeared. There's no alternative but to rescue the pup and do what can be done to save her. She'll be taken to the sanctuary hospital to be examined and treated. Saving the lives of baby seals comes naturally to these men, veterans of many rescues. The work began at St Agnes in 1957, and the sanctuary moved to Gwick in 1976. This liquid food is a nourishing cocktail refined by the sanctuary over years of caring for sick babies. It has vitamins and antibiotics and is the next best thing to its mother's milk. The baby doesn't see it that way, of course, and resents the indignity of being force-fed. Many a helping hand has been torn open by jaws like these. The ancient sailors didn't call seals sea wolves for nothing, and the seals must remain wild animals. If they are to survive in the wild, they can't become too friendly and dependent on human beings. But in the meantime, the hospital becomes their home. And it is a hospital, a place which must be clean and germ-free, where the water in the pools must be changed every day. It takes time, effort and attention to detail, and most work is done out of sight of the visitors.
I ain't going to trust it, even though you haven't bitten yet.
When a seal is about 12 days old, the white natal fur begins to fall out in tufts. The adult coat underneath is revealed during the next 4 or 5 months. Gradually, the seals become accustomed to water and play in the hospital pools. The long climb back to recovery has begun. Many of the residents are too ill or badly injured to cope in the wild, and they are destined to live out their lives at the sanctuary. Their injuries are many and varied. Some have torn their flippers or have swallowed oil. Others may be badly cut and infected. Many are victims of pollution. Their big, appealing eyes are prone to cataracts, and blindness is a common problem. Wild seals cope with blindness surprisingly well, for their other senses are remarkably acute. However, an orphan seal raised in the safety of the pools needs all its faculties when it's returned to the sea. Here in the sanctuary, the injured seals can prosper and may even breed. So new healthy animals can be introduced into our native seal population. A conservation bonus for the sanctuary. On one memorable occasion, Sheba, a resident at the sanctuary, gave birth to twins. This is a unique achievement. This is Rocky the sea lion. His parents did tricks at Brighton Aquarium, and Rocky was destined for show business too. His career came to an abrupt end when he went blind with cataracts. Yet another animal surplus to requirements. He now lives a contented life, relying on his senses of smell and touch, and totally trusting his human friends. This veteran from Edinburgh Zoo was to become a celebrity. A national newspaper learned that he was about to be put down to make room for new penguin pools. The news spread rapidly, and there was great public sympathy and protest. The sanctuary offered him a home. The problem was the 500 miles between him and Cornwall. Some animal welfare experts said it couldn't be done, but Magnus had no trouble with the 13-hour journey. The climax of the work is the release of healthy animals back into the environment. It's a time of joy and sadness. Seals, lovingly cared for and nursed back to health, are set free and are gone forever. In the case of Gladys, one ex-resident, this isn't quite true. By some primeval instinct, she's found her way back and often visits at high tide on the Helford River. But most are never seen again.
The main aim of the sanctuary is to get all the pups wild and release them again.
Our hope for the future lies with education. Today's children are more caring and more aware of the environment. Every person who visits the sanctuary and understands why it's there is a potential ally in the fight to save our sea and its animals. Britain is home to 2/3 of the world's grey Atlantic seals. Their future is in our hands and in the hands of these children.